So our next speaker, trying to keep on track here. We're just a couple minutes behind. It's tough being the moderator, keep things moving. I have never personally met Gary Lynn in person, but Dave Flockhart has told me how much he's enjoyed working with him, as has Mike Gilliland from Autohouse Technologies. And the reason I asked Gary to speak, he works with BMW, but I want to give you guys some idea of what you can expect down the road. Like, what's the big deal about OEM certification? Well, the way I see it, BMW is probably about 5 years ahead of everybody else. So I asked Gary if he would come and just share a little bit what's going on now with OEM certification with BMW, what the future looks like, and kind of an overall what his message would be for those considering OEM certification. So Gary, welcome to Saskatoon on a virtual broadcast. Love to have you here. Take it away. You can bark.
But do you guys see my screen? I'm trying to share my screen. I just want to make sure.
Oh, you see your screen? Yep. You're there, man.
How's that? How's that better? Thanks for letting me know. Okay. So Tom, thank you very much for the intro. And I just want to share with you guys, I asked Tom for 2 hours and he gave me 30 minutes. So I had to cut through all my slides and make it shorter and see if I can get through this. So I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can, and we can hold off the questions till the end. And if we have time, Tom, then I would open up to the audience and let everybody know. But first of all, I want to thank you. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Sar, for inviting me, giving us this opportunity to share with you guys. And this is what I always say, share. What is the BMW Group or the BMW Mini Certified Collision Repair Program? What is it all about, right? So this is what we want to do. We are transparent. We want to share with you. So Lien brought up a really good about OEM certification. What I'm going to bring down to you is same thing. It's just carry this, but talk about BMW Group. And like Tom said, we've been doing this for a long time. We're probably one of the most, if I hate, I'm not bragging, but we're probably one of the most advanced. I have 3 field team members just dealing with BMW Group, BMW Mini. And there's a lot in our program, and again, sharing is very important. So a little bit about myself before I start. Usually I like to get my 20 seconds fame in here. So my background is a little bit, I've been in this business for over 25 years. I'm a licensed bodyman, Red Seal, which is good for everywhere in Canada except Quebec. I'm also a licensed mechanic. So I have all my tickets. I know a lot of people look at this and go, wow, this guy is pretty impressive, has all these technical background. I also got, if a lot of people don't know, I went backward. I have 2 university degrees from the University of Windsor, and I came back to do my trade because I love cars. I have a passion for it. And one thing I want to share with you guys is when people look at me and my resume and they go, wow, that's impressive. To be honest with you, until I worked for BMW about 5 years ago, I was pretty embarrassed to say, because I got my license 25 years ago. But since then, what have I done? So when somebody told me they're licensed mechanical licensed bodyman, I always ask the question, when was the last time you went for any training, any meaningful training, like any OEM training? Because a lot of the cars nowadays, later on when I go through this with you, you'll know that it's very specific, right? So today I'm going to cut my presentation a little bit shorter. And the way that I'm going to do it, usually I talk about 2 systems in our vehicles, passive safety systems. What is BMW doing in terms of material science? Especially, I want to talk about steel. A lot of people talk about carbon fiber, aluminum, all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you, steel is not going away. Steel is here to stay. And, we use 21 different type of steel. So this is why when I say this, I always tell people, it's not good to talk about just steel because it's a form of what we call steel alloy or metal alloy, if you like, right? So the metal nowadays and metal 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and 5 years ago, and 10 years ago, it's very different. It's not the same anymore, right? So this is why you have to understand. The second part is I want to talk a little bit about, it's more a little bit about the active, right? What do we have in our cars to prevent accidents from happening? What kind of technologies do we have nowadays? And are we ready for this? And I got to tell you, as an industry, and like I said, I'm sharing this with you guys, we are not even close. We're not ready. So this is why, for me, it's more about sharing with you. So when we start, I'm going to share with you a video, and I don't know if many of you seen this before, but this is a very good indication of what our industry is like, right? I know you guys can see me over the video, but I always tell people, even though that's one of our what we call low budget film that we put together to emphasize showcase what a certified collision repair program is all about, but that's not me in the video, just so that you know. So one of the things we talk about, right? The car is fixed, like that video indicates, the car is fixed, but what would happen in a subsequent accident, right? And this is the reality. So it's all about accountability. A lot of our shops now in our industry, they fix the cars. It may look the car may look good, but what happens when the car is involved in an accident again? And how's the occupants inside? Are they safe, right? So one of the things for me is, if we're not fixing the car right, does anything matter anymore? We have to fix that car right. Doesn't matter if it's BMW or Chrysler or Honda or any brand. We have to be fixing these cars right. So stepping back a little bit, talk about steel, right? So when I talk about steel, there's so many different types of steels that we talk. And they're different strength, and they all have different treatment. Like some are, what we call could be, some could be heat treated, some could be, quenched, some could be pressure. There's so many, and some could be extruded. So there are many ways how we do metal nowadays, alloy, right? But here's a little bit the alloys that we use. We use 21 different type of metal alloys in the manufacturing and production of our vehicles. Okay, 21. In any given vehicle, there are 6 different types of steel on that car. Okay, 6. So this is very important. We understand what this is. So the one that we talk about from the least strength-wise is the deep drawn steel. Deep drawn steel usually are things that you may contour. So you would see them in like fenders, quarter panels, door openings, and hoods, and roof and stuff like that. Then you go into a little bit, they got interest. I sold Tropic steel. Those are stretched drawn steel, bake hardening, that's increased a little bit strength. Then you go to micro alloys and dual phase and trip phase, right? There's a lot of these ones that you'll hear, and they get into high strength, ultra high strength, and some of them are used actually for energy absorbing. So if you look at on this one, there's micro alloy. Just keep that in mind. But at the very bottom, the strongest steel that we have is called boron steel. And actually, many companies are using this in the manufacturing design of their vehicle. Boron steel is a very high strength. It's mostly used for reinforcements. Okay, so it's not easy to form to make it look nice. So usually it's underneath. So a good example, a lot of our cars, the B pillar reinforcement, the rocker reinforcement, it's all boron steel. Okay, so this is a little bit different type of where the steels are. So on this slide, it shows you where these are, right? So door opening, deep drawn steel is what I explained to you. Whoa, this is a door shell. This is high strength steel. BMW, that's why you don't see door skins on our car, because we use high strength steels on our door shells, and you'll see some of them are aluminum as well. But the door shells are high strength steel. What does it add? It has some crash worthiness in this. So the safety of the vehicle is very, very important on this as a door, because the door is part of the integral part of safety. Frame rails, right? And then you have, what I told you, the rocker reinforcement and the B-pillar reinforcement. So we talk about ultra high strength steel all the way to boron steel. And these are where usually the components are, okay? These are typical of what we have on our cars. So one of the things is we talk about this all the time. If somebody tried to do repairs and you don't know what the materials behind these cars, how are you fixing this, right? So I already mentioned to you that this is the weakest, this is a little bit stronger, this is a little bit stronger, then it gets stronger and stronger. So it's very important that we understand how the different materials on our cars are. So this is why I asked the question, right? Here they are. Any of these, if you add heat to it, it's no good. Anytime you add heat to a panel, you reduce its what we call the structural integrity, because the molecular structure changes on this. And what happens? You decrease the energy, the absorbent or the impact absorbance by 40%. You weaken that material by 40%. So heat is not our friend. Okay, that's very, very important. I'm going to tell you, heat is not. So one of the things is, I remember when I was on the bench, I used to have a Stinger. And I mean, I can't, usually when I do these type of workshops, I see the audience and I ask a show of hands, how many of you guys have this? And I mean, Tom, you can look at the audience and I ask the audience, how many of you have this in your shop, right? And, put up your hand. And then Tom, take a count for me later because I like to know. It's funny and chuckle. So one of the things I want to tell you is, if you weld this on, if you think about it, right? You put this on, and if you look at it, glows nice and red. When we weld these studs on, these is older. And, what happens to this? Like you see this on the car, they do it. We weld this on, we pull the panel out, and it glows nice and dark. Well, you know what? Actually, we just destroyed that panel, right? Because this equipment, and like I said to you, when was the last time you invested in training, or when's the last time you invested anything in equipment-wise, right? So this thing here, when you talk about these Stingers, all they're good for is, I hate to tell you, right? If you have a boat, use it as a boat anchor, okay? And if you don't have a boat, give it to somebody as a boat, because that's all it's good for. Do not use these type of equipment to fix any cars nowadays, the newer cars, because you're actually destroying that car more than you're fixing. So what do we have? Yes, we do. We do have something, right? BMW actually has approved, our engineers have approved the equipment by Flatliner, which is made by BTEC International. One of this is aluminum, the other one is steel. And actually, we do have one that's plastic fusion as well by BTEC. And remember, these are all mandated equipment by BMW. Any of you ever seen this work, okay? Like basically a good example. Here's maybe a damage, a foot. There's about 120 key on this. I can weld these keys on with my bare hand. And also, not only that, the back of our panels, we do training with this on a BMW rocker panel. And you guys know how hard, how strong that metal is, or that panel is. And we can use this to fix that. And when you look at the back of that, there's not even any weld through. So the eco is not even burned through. Obviously, I'm going to tell people, there are people that come and tell me, oh, Gary, but if you can still burn through. Obviously, if you don't do the training, you crank the machine all the way up, you're going to burn it through also. But I can weld these keys on by bare hand. And one of the things I say all the time, very, very important, giving you the tools without the training is meaningless. You need the training, and training is ever so important in our industry. And ongoing training. This is what I always say, ongoing training. So one of the things you look at this is, make sure that you're using the right tools and equipment. Now, I should maybe blur out that guy's face, but this is a thing that you see in a lot of the typical shops. I don't know about Saskatchewan. I hate to tell you, I've only been there a couple of times. And, the shops I went to, they were all quite nice because those were my certified shops out there. And they invested in the newer machine. But when you look at equipment like this, and then from the picture I show you earlier with all the different materials, okay, it doesn't matter what kind of car it is. I told you, in any modern day vehicle, doesn't matter which brand, they all use different type of metal alloys on their vehicle, materials wise too. Use a P4 pulling this car, pulling the quarter panel. This guy may be able to, I don't know if he's chained that to the ground only, or he used the actual 4-pinch weld on the rocker where the lifts are, on the rocker panel pinch weld. But if you're pulling this car on where the quarter panel is, and I told you already, some of the materials inside are weaker metal than the quarter panel outside. maybe by the time he pulled this out, the inside floor already separated. Why? Because it's a weaker material, right? So this is why it's important. And or something like this. This may be a little bit newer, looks like that, but it's still, you got to be very, very important to understand how these cars are built and designed. What kind of materials are behind this, right? So this is why it's important for BMW. We don't just use one brand. So Carolina, Car Bench, and Select, those are the brands that we have. As you can hear, see the Evo systems. We use an anchoring system and stuff like that. Now, I just want to ask you, right? I tell people all the time, the tolerance for BMW is plus minus 1 millimeter. You know, I'm sitting here in front of you. I'm going to put my finger out, and it's so hard for me to squint to see what 1 millimeter is. So one of the things when people ask me this is, okay, Gary, why do you, if I'm giving your shop a bench time, I do a lot of workshop insurance, I give them frame bench time. Why do they still need to measure? Well, first of all, if you don't measure, how do you know how to pull that car, right? If you don't know how to pull that car properly and you use the systems I just shared with you earlier, like these ones, you know what? Might as well just go get a donkey, a couple of chains, and tie that car around an oak tree and pull it, right? Because you're pulling it blindly. You're pulling it like you can't do that anymore. With the modern day vehicle, the specifications are very, very tight. The tolerance are very low. You need these 3D measurements to show you how to pull that car. And this is why it's important. You know, you don't have to buy a Carolina. You could buy a Select, you know, a Select Naja, or even Car Bench has a really good one. It's Contact Evolution. There, you know, one of the things is, I say this all the time, you need to make sure that these companies that are manufacturing these benches are telling you as a technician, how do we pull these cars? It's very, very important. So, you know, when I look at this, like the P-Force, that was in my shop 25 years ago. And I see some shops still using it. So we're already in the 21st century. You know, they're fixing cars like back 25 years ago. You know, the car's not the same anymore, right? And I keep on emphasizing that. So I'm going to move a little bit. Everybody loved this car. This is in 2010 in our program. This is a 2013 i8. But this is a lot of new technology that went into that. But I want to talk about this one more because the other one is, you know, has all the characteristics, supercar, and the price is more. This is like an everyday driving vehicle. This came out in 2015, our i3. But just to let you know, the same design as the i8. Not a single component of the exterior body panel on this vehicle is steel. No steel at all. We still use a lot of plastic. We used to still use a lot of aluminum. We still use a lot of steel. But on these cars, we don't use any steel panels. But what we introduce on this is carbon fiber. But one thing I want to talk about carbon fiber. Carbon fiber, one thing is very, very important we talk about. It's structural. It's not cosmetic. This carbon fiber you see here is structural. The roof is carbon fiber. The hood is carbon fiber on this particular vehicle. Remember, under the hood in the front here is actually a luggage space because this car is electric vehicle and the motor is in the back of the car. So one of the things I tell these people, you have to understand what the materials are and what they do, right? One of the things that we have is on this particular vehicle, it's glass tailgate. And this is very important when we talk about glass. So people ask me this question all the time. Gary, is our windshields and back glass structural? And I'm going to tell you right now, anything that's bonded to the vehicle is structural, including the quarter glass. Okay, so if there's a quarter glass that's bonded with adhesive, that is structural. Okay, so no if, no buts. There's a lot of design to integration of vehicles to make it safe and lighter. So you got to make sure that you understand what that OE does. It's very different. For us, I'm telling you right now, the glass is structural, the roof is structural, so is the hood on this car because it plays a part in the event this car gets involved in a front-end accident, right? So with that being said, one of the things that I do want to bring up is this, right? It's to let you guys know, you know, why carbon fiber? Because carbon fiber is lighter than aluminum and lighter than steel, and it's actually much stronger. The whole body shell of this vehicle is actually carbon fiber. So if you look at it, two-person can lift it up, right? And it's you know, it's very light. If you ask me how many pounds, I can't tell the thing, but as you can see. But one of the things I do want to share, why carbon fiber? Because carbon fiber actually is the best thing to, as you can see, when our engineers designed this vehicle is to divert the energy so that the occupants inside are safe. So somebody would tell me, say, hey, Gary, you guys designed a car like this. Now, how do we fix it? So there are ways. How we build our cars is actually how we fix our car. You need specialized tools and equipment, that's for sure. But the next video shows you how we can do certain repairs.
This video shows the construction and body repair concept of the i3. The drive module is made of welded aluminium extrusion profiles and castings. The life module is made of bonded carbon fiber parts and aluminium extrusion profiles. The drive module is bonded and bolted to the life module. All i3 outer panels are made of polypropylene, just like today's bumper panels. The elasticity of the material means that damage is often prevented in the first place. The screw and clip joining concept makes it simple and quick to replace outer panels. Underneath, there are bolt-on plastic support structures, which are also quick to replace. The outer side frame of the serial production is one large part. Marked cut-off points means that individual sections can be inexpensively replaced as required, depending on where the following example shows the repair of a side sill. A milling machine developed and patented by BMW is used to remove the flanges of the damaged part as far as the bonded joint. The dust is removed completely by vacuum and collected in a separate vacuum cleaner. Special steel reinforcement parts are used to join the parts on the inside. The adhesive is then applied to the remaining flanges and the side sill is joined. The design of the drive module also allows low-cost repairs. These are carried out by the bonding and riveting technique, which has been used by BMW since 2003. The following example shows the repair of the front chassis carrier using expansion repair elements. First of all, a mark is made and the damaged part removed. Then the replacement part is fitted using an alignment bracket. And holes are drilled. The next step is to pre-treat all bonding surfaces of the chassis beam and expansion repair elements. Bolt on the screws and apply the adhesive. The elements are then inserted into the carrier and expanded using the screws until a perfect fit is achieved. The joint is also reinforced all round with blind rivets.
So that share with you a little bit how, that I can't do any better explanation than how to do a lot of the repair, but there are a lot of repairs that we can do that we have developed. Now with the introduction of the 7 series, we talk about a little bit. We have to understand what the external panels are. Aluminum hood, aluminum fenders, there's a lot of aluminum in this car, right? But what is special on this is the introduction of carbon core. So the carbon in this, like I said again, it's structural. And this is all reinforced on the inside. So as you can see, anything that's pink, that's boron steel. So you can see a lot of boron steel. Anything that's green, it's aluminum. We still use a lot of aluminum on this. And then you have different type high strength steel that's on these parts here and on the floor here. And then you can see in the back, we use a variety different of steel. Okay, so it's not everything's the same. So this is why I keep on emphasizing, you have to know what it is. So this is our 7 series, which we introduced the carbon core, which is in our vehicles, which we use a lot on our other vehicle now. The X3, I just want to share with you guys here. The X3 is actually our most popular vehicle in our lineup since 2017. So on this thing here, and this is why I want to emphasize that we know. You probably see one of these in your shop. And here's the problem. A car will come in and you'll look at this damage on the front door and the rear door. Let's say this car got swiped or got hit by a shopping cart on here. Your technician, if they don't know what they're doing, they're going to hit it with the grinder on the front door, which is aluminum. They're going to hit that same grinder on the rear door, which is high-strength steel. Well, you just cross-contaminate the materials, right? And, I hear this all the time when people tell me, the aluminum room in my shop, it's the least utilized. That scares me. When people say that to me, that scares the hell out of me. You know why? The most popular vehicle truck out there is the Ford F-150, and it's aluminum. If a guy is grinding or sanding with an aluminum panel, he's wearing a mask, but the guys are walking around the shop are not, that aluminum is light. They'll float, and the dust, if somebody inhales that, it just sits in their lungs, and that's not very good for health and safety. So one of the things is, if you don't have aluminum, I don't know how you're fixing cars of the modern day, because almost every vehicle nowadays have aluminum outer panels on them already, right? If not, like for F-150, the whole truck is pretty well aluminum on the outer body, right? So this is very important. Somebody asked me, why would you do aluminum in the front door and then high-strength steel? BMW vehicles have what we call a 50-50 weight distribution. So basically, this car could go on a plank and you'll actually level itself out. And the way that they do it is they want to make sure. But if they put aluminum in the back, then the front end is going to be like too heavy. So that's why they need that high-strength steel in the back door to balance the weight. The other thing on the inside, talk about, look how much boron steel we use on this car now, right? Boron steel, high strength steel still there, other steel still in the car, but the the strut towers and the frame rails are always aluminum on a lot of our model lineups. And all you see in this boron steel are very, very common on our cars, right? So this is why the repair instruction is very important for you to understand. It's specific for the vehicle, right? Not for any other one. So this is why it's important. I always tell my shops, especially like when you talk about boron steel, look at Honda Civic, the most popular car in Canada, right? You look at the, when they do the frame rail, it's actually boron steel. And I know in one of their models in 2017, you have to replace the whole component. So how do you know? A lot of people don't know. They try to pull the car. And when they try to pull that vehicle, that frame rail, it's boron steel, guess what? Some other component on that vehicle will already separate it because they are of weaker material. So you need these type of specialized training, specialized tools and equipment and the information to fix this. And this is just the outer body, right? Which majority of the people don't know. And they're just heating it or whatever. So this is why it's important. So I'm going to bring you to the next part, and I have to speed up a little bit. I'm going to try to finish this.
Part of the joy of driving a BMW is the comforting feeling that should the worst happen, help is just a call away. BMW Accident Call is a service dedicated to assisting drivers when they need it most. If you're unfortunate enough to be involved in a low-impact accident, there's no need to worry. Our dedicated BMW Accident Assistance team are there to put you at ease. Damage is detected via sensors on your BMW, and a warning message will be displayed within the vehicle. By pressing the iDrive controller, an automatic voice connection is initiated, straight through to one of our accident assistance agents. Our first priority is safety. If anyone involved in the accident is injured, or if the police are required, the emergency services will be called on your behalf. If there are no injuries and the car can be driven, details of the accident will be transferred directly through to your preferred BMW-approved body shop. If the car is undrivable, there's no need to worry. The accident assistance agent will arrange recovery for you and your car to your chosen BMW-approved body shop. Your vehicle will then be repaired by trained and experienced BMW technicians using only genuine parts and BMW-approved repair methods. Accident Call means you can enjoy driving your car safe in the knowledge that BMW is there to assist in getting you safely back on the road.
So this video that you see, it's already happening for us. It's called Accident Call. And what we do is we can help our customers, and we will actually tow that car anywhere in Canada for free to one of our certified shops. So one of the things I want to very quickly talk about, all these technologies. These type of technology that you see on the screen today, they are on many other OEs. It's not just BMW has this, right? You talk about, the safety system. These are active, so it's prevent the accidents from happening, right? And one of the things you talk about is a lot of the camera technology and the sensors technology. One of the things I want to talk about, CAFS camera. That's underneath the windshield. We have vehicles that goes from single lens, stereo camera, just 2 lens, and now we have triple lens camera. Triple lenses give that depth and that clarity. So it is very important that we understand what this camera does. And of course, then we have the active radar, cruise control radar sensors there, right? So one of the things I want to share with you is that we talk about how important that camera is. And a lot of people ask me, Gary, does the camera, does the safety for this, or everything plays like an integral safety. And later on, I'm going to show you a video of what our cars are seeing today. Our cars are seeing today. So one of the things I want to share with you is to talk about our windshield. You know, our windshields are tapered. The thickness are different. They're laminated. All windshields are, but they're tapered. So basically, if you look at the thickness at the top, it's thicker than the bottom. So I use the example all the time. When somebody replaced that windshield and the camera is looking through that, unless the camera has been disconnected or it's broken, you will not get an indicator, a red light on your dash. Hey, your camera is not working. It doesn't work like that. That camera is still seeing through that lens, but it just picture yourself, right? Go get one of those reading glasses and put on, and all of a sudden you see everything becomes bigger and blurry. So it's distorted, right? So this is the same thing. If you replace that windshield and you don't calibrate that camera, there's a very important thing is that camera may not be working properly. And it's not reading the distance properly. So this is very important that you do have to follow repair instructions, right? So, you know, I got a picture of this, I see this, and I gotta be honest, I read all the time. Don't get me wrong, you know, it's good for people to go to people's office or home to do windshield. But as you know, I don't know about Saskatchewan, but in Ontario, we don't really have a qualification for glass replacement, guys. So technically, the guy who's doing this glass could be delivering pizza the night before, and now he's doing windshields. He's driving around doing windshield. One of the things that scares me the most on this car here is, I'm going to tell you right now, and I've seen this. I've seen people driving around with a tape on top of their windshield. You know, we talk about this. Adhesives, how long does it take to cure, fully cure? Usually it's 24 hours in room temperature. I keep on emphasizing room. In Saskatchewan, if it's minus 30 and you do the windshield outside, that adhesive will never cure, right? So one of the things about the front windshield that's very important for me, and I want to share this with you guys. Usually it's about 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour work time. And then you have about 4 hours for it to set. What it means set is that you touch it, it's not tacky, it's sticky anymore. And then, but that doesn't mean it's cured, right? That's why you have that tape over on top. So if a customer's driving and they have a passenger beside them, picture this. He's involved in a front-end accident. Airbags deploy. How does the airbag deploy for that passenger, right? The airbag goes up, bounce off the windshield, and it goes towards the passenger, and then it keeps the head there. What happens if this windshield is not cured? The adhesive is not cured. What happened to that windshield when the airbag deploys? It pops up, pushes the windshield out, never go towards the passenger. The guy has a really whiplash or break his neck, right? I know the insurance is paying for it, but what? To risk 1 day of rental, and that's what I say, right? But not only that is, what do you need to do in replacing this windshield? So this is 7 pages to RNI this, and it's very important here. You have to calibrate the camera once this windshield has been replaced. Okay, very, very important. So this is why you need to know the specific. And the next video I'm going to show you is what our car sees now. So these are the things. This is what that camera, we're driving, and this is the view you see. It's picking up the lanes, right? It's an integrated system, and it's picking up raw sensors around. So it's either the radar sensors or the camera, right? And then what they do is they use the geo-positioning system, which is the map, right? We use a company called HERE, which is very important because here, Garmin uses them as well, but it's like it picks up all the dynamic fusion, the things before it can pick up this. And what I'm sharing with you right now is this is now. This has happened on the X5 that I drive that has a triple lens camera, on the 3 Series that has the triple lens cameras, on a lot of our new vehicles, I would say within the last 3 years. So right now, these are very updated. These maps are actually live feed, so it goes back. This is how we are able to see the difference. And so, like I said, this is now. So I always ask questions, are we ready, right? And I do examples like this in a workshop, like a little scratch, a minor scratch and a bumper like this, right? So I said, first, you have to know the instructions. What is the option on this car, right? This is assistance driving assistance systems plus. So if you look at this bumper cannot be repaired at all. You need to replace it, right? And this is now BMW is working because we want to try to fix things that we could, because we want to keep the severity of our damages low. But the problem is, how can we do it safely? To make sure that the customer's safety is not compromised, right? And again, this is not just us. This is a lot of other OEs. right? And the next video I'm going to show you is actually the reality is once we get here, we really have to know. But the technology we have nowadays is what's going to take us to this right now, right? A lot of the camera technology, the sensor technology, the geo-positioning sensors, that's what is helping us to take us there right now, right? So my thing is always this. Are we ready? These cars are coming, but we are not even there in our industry to be able to fix these cars properly. And I shared this slide with a lot of people. It's like, there's a lot of training that we need for our technicians and not just even estimators. Air estimators has to know what type of material, what can be done and what cannot be done, right? So it's very important. We have to keep up with our training. And this is I usually like to share this slide with everybody. Like, we do have work with a lot of insurance company, regardless of what their stands are, because we want to share with them how to fix our car properly. Number one thing, that's all we want, right? Because what we don't want is, we don't want something like this. You know, I mean, everybody knows about this case, but I don't ever want to go see a BMW that's involved in an accident like this. And this is why, with our industry, we need to bring that awareness. And that's what BMW wants to be. We want to do our part in this. And one of the things we always talk about is we do work with some insurance companies, partners, what we call preferred insurance partners, that we have a program together with the right coverage, you know, and making sure the cars only fix our certified shop, and we are taking care of our customers. And that's very, very important. So thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry, guys, I have to rush through like this because for me, this is like, you know, I told Tom, I go, wow, you know, this is not easy for me to be doing this on such a short time, right? And I'm going to take some of Paul's time away because he doesn't need it anyway. I mean, he has nothing to share. So thank you, guys. I mean, you know, if you have questions later or whatever, let me know. Yeah.
Hear me here? There we go. Gary, thank you very much. You don't disappoint. I love your analogy with the donkey and that. That's beautiful. And I think we still got a few shops out here that actually have the screw pullers, so don't worry. We're coming, though. We're getting there. You know, it's just amazing the technology that you guys are using, and, you know, we're seeing it in everyday drivers now. I mean, we're getting, you know, basically we call them big lighters of cars. Like, these are little Hyundai, whatever, and they've got all this technology on them. But BMW has been a leader. You've had that for a number of years. And we're well aware that, like in Saskatchewan, they only have 2 BMW certified shops. That's what the market can sustain. That's it. And the interesting part is that on a lot of these structural parts, unless you're certified, you can't buy it. Is that coming down the road for all the other brands? Very possible. We'll see what happens. But Gary, I'm looking forward to the time when we can spend that 2 hours and have you come and share. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and we will certainly be in touch. And Dave Flockhart said to say hello.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You bet. Take care.